Once upon a time, in a fluffy white cloud high above the world, lived a little puppy named Cinnamoroll. With his soft, marshmallow-like ears that let him float through the sky, he spent his days exploring the endless wonders of the heavens. But his favorite time was bedtime, when the stars twinkled like sugar sprinkles and the moon smiled down at him. One night, as Cinnamoroll snuggled into his cloud bed, he noticed a tiny twinkling star winking at him extra brightly. He wondered, is that star trying to tell me something? Curious, he flapped his big ears and floated up toward the shimmering light. To his surprise, the star giggled and darted away, leading him on a gentle chase across the sky. Wait for me, Cinnamoroll called, laughing as he twirled past sleepy birds and dozing rainbows. The star led him to a hidden cloud garden, where flowers made of cotton candy bloomed and rivers of warm milk flowed. Welcome, Cinnamoroll, chimed a voice. It was his friend, the moon rabbit, stirring a big pot of starry soup. Would you like to help me make the sweetest dreams for all the children below? Cinnamoroll clapped his paws. Yes, please. Together they sprinkled cinnamon sparkles into the soup, making it swirl with magic. Each bubble that floated away turned into a dream of flying, of cookie castles, or of playing with friends forever. But just as Cinnamoroll yawned, feeling sleepy himself, the star from before danced around him again. Oh, are there more adventures? He asked. The star nodded, and suddenly Cinnamoroll found himself on a boat made of a crescent moon, sailing across a sea of vanilla pudding. Whales made of whipped cream leaped beside him, and a gentle breeze carried the scent of freshly baked cookies. Where are we going? Cinnamoroll whispered. Wherever dreams take you, the star replied. Every night is a new journey, and so Cinnamoroll drifted off to sleep, his ears curled around him like a blanket, knowing that tomorrow's sky would hold even more wonders. Maybe a parade of friendly jellybean clouds, or a tea party with the northern lights. But for now he smiled, because in dreamland the adventures never really end. They just grow sweeter and softer, like a never-ending lullaby. As Cinnamoroll floated deeper into his dreams, the vanilla pudding sea sparkled under a sky of swirling caramel. The moonboat rocked gently, and just when he thought the night couldn't get any cozier, a soft, glowing light appeared in the distance. It pulsed like a heartbeat, humming a melody so sweet it made his ears wiggle with joy. That's the Lullaby Lighthouse, chirped a voice. A tiny cloud sprite, no bigger than a cupcake, fluttered down and perched on the edge of the boat. It guides all dreamers to the calmest, happiest sleeps. But, oh dear, the sprite's glow dimmed. The music's gotten stuck. Sure enough, the lighthouse's tune hiccuped like a record skipping, and the waves of pudding began to wobble uneasily. Cinnamoroll tilted his head. How do we fix it? The sprite twirled. We need the missing notes. They scattered when the dreamy wind sneezed earlier. Can you help find them? Before Cinnamoroll could nod, a note, shaped like a tiny glowing jelly bean, zoomed past his nose. With a giggle, he flapped his ears and soared after it, weaving through cotton candy trees and over marshmallow hills. The note led him to a grove where the trees hummed harmonies, and there, tangled in a ribbon of rainbow taffy, was another note. Got you. Cinnamoroll gently untwisted the taffy, and the note sprang free, joining the first in a cheerful duet. One by one, he found the rest. One bouncing in a teacup atop a toadstool, another hiding shyly behind a snoozing starfish, and the last one curled up in a nest of cinnamon sticks, fast asleep. With all the notes gathered, Cinnamoroll floated up to the lighthouse, where the cloud sprite was waiting. Together, they placed the notes back into the lighthouse's music box. Click! The melody smoothed into a perfect, soothing lullaby, and the entire dream sea sighed in relief. The pudding waves turned extra creamy, the stars snuggled into their blankets of dark blue velvet, and even the mischievous dreamy wind yawned and settled down. You did it. The sprite cheered, tossing a handful of dream dust that shimmered around Cinnamoroll like fireflies. Now every child who hears this song will dream of puppy-shaped clouds and endless cookie picnics. Cinnamoroll's ears flopped sleepily as the lighthouse's beam wrapped around him like a hug. But what about tomorrow night? He murmured, already drifting off. The sprite giggled. Shh. The story kettle is already brewing a new adventure. Something about a blanket fort that stretches across the sky. And as Cinnamoroll's eyes closed, the sweetest of dreams carried him away, on a hammock woven from moonbeams, rocking gently, endlessly, under a forever twinkling sky. Cinnamoroll in the blanket fort of forever, just as the cloud sprite promised. The very next night, Cinnamoroll found himself standing before the most magnificent sight, a blanket fort so enormous it stretched across the entire sky. The walls were made of the fluffiest quilts, stitched together with shooting stars, and the ceiling shimmered with thousands of twinkling fairy lights. A warm, buttery glow spilled from inside, smelling faintly of fresh-baked snickerdoodles. A giggle echoed from within. Psst, Cinnabuddy, come in. It was Mocha, his energetic puppy friend, peeking out from under a blanket doorway. We're building the coziest place in the universe, but we need your magic ears to finish it. Cinnamoroll floated inside, gasping in delight. His friends had been busy. Cappuccino was stacking pillow mountains. Chiffon was stringing garlands of gumdrop stars, and Espresso was carefully balancing a tower of cookie plates. But in the very center of the fort stood a wobbling, half-finished throne of sweet dreams. A giant chair meant for storytelling, made of waffle cushions and licorice armrests. The last piece is missing, Chiffon said, pointing to the very top. We need something extra soft and floaty to crown it. Cinnamoroll's ears perked up. Like these? He gave a little twirl, letting his big cloud-like ears flutter. His friends cheered as he gently floated up and nestled his ears atop the throne, where they poofed into the perfect cushion. Poof! The moment the throne was complete, the entire fort sighed like a contented kitten. The blankets grew even softer. The fairy lights pulsed like fireflies, and a cascade of storybooks tumbled from nowhere, their pages rustling with untold adventures. Mocha grabbed the shiniest one. Once upon a zzz, he fake snored, making everyone laugh. Just kidding. Real story time starts now. But before he could begin, the fort's walls rippled. A tiny velvety nose poked through the quilt seams, followed by two curious eyes. It was a dream weasel, a shy creature who collected lost giggles and sneezed confetti. It squeaked, "Your fort is so comfy. It's, spreading." And it was. Outside, the blanket edges were creeping across the sky, turning distant thunderclouds into marshmallow cushions and wrapping grumpy storm fronts into burritos of calm. Even the Milky Way was snuggling under a new patchwork cover. "This is amazing," Cinnamoroll whispered. "Now everyone gets to be cozy." And so, under a sky now stitched with endless comfort, Cinnamoroll and his friends curled up together, the throne of sweet dreams humming lullabies as the storybook flipped its own pages, telling tales of caramel rivers and pillow fights with friendly ghosts, until one by one they all drifted off, their snores harmonizing with the twinkle of the stars. But wait, you knew this wasn't really the end, right? Because somewhere a sugar plum train is puffing along on tracks of spun sugar, ready to whisk sleepy adventurers away tomorrow night. All aboard? The blanket fort is always open. Just close your eyes and tug on a quilt corner. You'll find your way in. Just as the last snoozy sigh escaped Cinnamoroll's tiny nose, a distant choo-choo echoed through the dreamy blanket fort. The walls of quilts trembled gently as something sweet approached. Cinnamoroll's ears perked up before the rest of him did, lifting him sleepily into the air. What? He rubbed his eyes just in time to see the most magical sight. A train made entirely of candy canes and gingerbread, puffing clouds of cotton candy steam as it rolled to a stop right outside the fort. The conductor, a jolly marshmallow snowman in a peppermint-striped hat, leaned out. All aboard the Sugar Plum Express. Next stop, the land of Nod. Mocha shot upright, suddenly wide awake. A midnight snack train? He barked, already scrambling toward it. Wait, giggled Chiffon, grabbing his tail. It's not a snack train, it's a sweet dreams train. The dream weasel peeked from under Cinnamoroll's ear. To tickets, please. It squeaked, suddenly wearing a tiny conductor's cap. Cinnamoroll blinked. Tickets? The snowman chuckled, shaking his belly, which made a sound like jingling sleigh bells. Why, your dreams are the tickets. Just climb aboard and think cozy thoughts. One by one, the puppies piled into the candy-coated cars. The seats were made of caramel. The windows were hard candy that never smudged, and the ceiling dripped with edible glitter that tasted like every flavor at once. Choo-choo. With a whistle that sounded like a giggle, the train lurched forward, but instead of tracks, it rolled on rainbows that appeared just ahead as they moved. Look! Cinnamoroll pressed his paws to the window as they passed through the chocolate chip tunnel, where cookie dough stalactites dripped melty goodness. Next came the gumdrop hills, where lollipop trees swayed in a breeze that smelled like birthday cake. Then, screech! The train suddenly stopped. Oh, crumbs, muttered the snowman, peering ahead. The licorice bridge is out. Sure enough, the rainbow path ended at a sticky, tangled mess of black licorice ropes. A family of distressed gummy bears waved from the other side of the gap. Don't worry. Cinnamoroll flapped his ears, floating up. My ears can stretch. He grabbed one end, Mocha grabbed the other, and together they made a bouncy, cinnamon-scented bridge. As the train rolled safely across, the gummy bears cheering and tossing jelly bean confetti, the snowman wiped his brow with a candy cane. That's why you're the coziest hero in Dreamland, Cinnamoroll. The rest of the ride was smooth sailing, through a valley of whispering peppermints, past a lake of swirling lemonade, and finally to the softest station of all, the pillow terminal, where beds with wings waited to carry dreamers to their perfect sleep. As the puppies snuggled into their fluffy transports, the snowman tipped his hat. Same time tomorrow? I hear the marshmallow volcano is due for a sprinkle eruption. Cinnamoroll yawned a yawn that tasted like starlight and sugar. Can't wait, he murmured as his bed gently lifted into the air. And as the Sugar Plum Express chugged away into the night, its caboose trailing a comet's tail of sprinkles, one thing was certain. Tomorrow's dreams would be even sweeter. But shh. The next adventure is already whispering on the horizon, something about a lost teddy bear and a constellation that needs hugs. Just keep your pajamas on and your heart open. Dreamland never runs out of stories. Cinnamoroll and the Starlight Teddy Rescue. As Cinnamoroll's winged pillow floated through the cotton candy clouds, a tiny sniffle echoed across the night sky. He rubbed his eyes and peered into the darkness, where a small constellation was flickering sadly, not twinkling like the others, but trembling like it might cry. Uh-oh, Cinnamoroll whispered. His pillow drifted closer, and that's when he saw it, a teddy bear-shaped cluster of stars, hugging its own knees, with one starlight tear rolling down its cheek, mister. Big Dipper said, I'm too small to be a real constellation. The Starlight Teddy hiccuped. And now I'm lost because I floated away from my star map. Cinnamoroll gasped. That's not true. You're the perfect size for hugging. He stretched out his paws, but the teddy shimmered just out of reach. Oh no, are you made of ticklish light? The teddy nodded. Constellations can't be touched unless... It brightened suddenly. Unless someone shares their coziest memory to make me solid. Cinnamoroll closed his eyes and thought hard. His fluffiest memory? That time it rained hot cocoa and he drank it straight from the sky. He giggled at the thought. Poof! A golden glow spun from his ears and wrapped around the teddy like a scarf. The starlight teddy plumped into the softest, most huggable form, smelling like warm cookies and new crayons. It worked, they cheered together. Just as a whoosh of wind tore through the clouds, the gloom guster, a sneaky gust that loved to steal sparkly things. It swooped, snatching the teddy right out of Cinnamoroll's paws. "Not today, Windy Meanie," a voice rang out. From above, Mocha came barreling down, riding a runaway cookie sheet, chiffon and espresso hanging on behind him. They crashed into the guster in a tangle of puppy paws and crumbs, sending the teddy tumbling safely into a passing comet's tail. "Quick!" Chiffon yelled. Comets only loop once before they zoom away forever. Cinnamoroll didn't hesitate. He launched himself after the teddy, ears flapping wildly. The comet was fast, but his cinnamon-scented determination was faster. With one final screech, he grabbed the teddy just as the comet shot toward the edge of dreamland. Boing! They bounced safely onto a passing satellite, which luckily was made of waffle iron. Back on solid ground, the starlight teddy glowed with gratitude. "You saved me. Now I can finally go home. But first," it pressed a paw to the sky, and crackle! A new constellation appeared. Cinnamoroll and the puppy squad, forever twinkling in heroic poses. Mocha immediately struck a flexing stance. "I knew I was star material." As the first sunbeams of morning peeked over the clouds, the teddy waved goodbye, its stars now securely stitched back into the celestial map. Cinnamoroll yawned, his own glow fading as the dream gently ended. But as he drifted awake, he swore he heard a new whisper, something about a midnight picnic, where the sandwiches folded themselves, and a jelly bean moon that needed rolling back into place before sunrise. Cinnamoroll and the jelly bean moon's midnight picnic. Just as the last star of his constellation adventure faded, Cinnamoroll's ears twitched at a new sound, a soft pop, 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 like tiny candies bouncing in the distance. He floated toward the noise and gasped. The jelly bean moon, usually round and plump in the sky, was deflating, its sugary surface wrinkling as it slowly rolled away from its perch. Beneath it, a picnic blanket spread across a cloud, piled high with self-folding sandwiches and giggling fruit tarts, but no one was there to enjoy it. A panicked squeak came from above. Oh no, no, no! A tiny night sprite, who looked suspiciously like a blueberry with wings, fluttered down, tugging at Cinnamoroll's paw. "The moon's leaking flavored stardust." We were supposed to patch it with laughter at the dream picnic, but pop! Another jelly bean escaped the moon, landing in Cinnamoroll's paw. It tasted like a forgotten joke. That's it. Cinnamoroll's ears perked up. The moon needs giggles to stay full. He dashed to the picnic blanket, grabbed a sandwich, which immediately folded itself into a paper airplane, and launched it toward Mocha's snoozing form. Whap! Right in the nose. Snort. Huh? Mocha bolted upright, cross-eyed as the sandwich airplane zoomed circles around him. Within minutes, the whole puppy squad was in stitches. Chiffon snorted milk bubbles out her nose. Espresso accidentally tied his own tail in a knot laughing, and the night sprite hiccuped glitter. Each burst of laughter floated up to the moon like a soap bubble, plumping it back to shape. But just as it reached full size, rumble, the entire picnic blanket suddenly lifted beneath them, the clouds alive. Mocha yelped. Nope, just moving, because beneath the blanket wasn't a cloud at all, but the dozy dinosaur, a half-asleep creature made of pajama fabric, who'd mistaken their picnic for its bedtime snack. With a yawn that smelled of toothpaste and warm socks, it began munching on a corner of the blanket. Quick, Cinnamoroll flapped his ears, lifting a tower of cream puffs as a peace offering. Swap you these for our picnic? The dinosaur's eyes, which were actually mismatched buttons, gleamed. Chomp. It inhaled the puffs, then promptly curled around them like a living blanket fort, snoring. Picnic saved, moon-patched, dinosaur, napping. The night sprite cheered, tossing a handful of stardust that turned everyone's fur into pajamas. Now you should rest too. Oh, except... It pointed to the horizon, where a single rogue jelly bean pinged against a doorknob floating in the sky. Cinnamoroll tilted his head. Since when do doors just creak? The knob turned. Behind it, a hallway of infinite cookie jars, each rattling like they contained more than just snacks. To be continued. Because some mysteries, like why the milk in Dreamland is always bottomless, are best explored after a nap. Leave a cookie out tonight. You never know who might need a snack on their adventure. you.